And selamat pagi, or rather good morning to everyone here in Lombok, specifically here in the Mandalika street circuit, for what should be an interesting weekend as we will conclude our qualifiers here in HoloProto World and Japan. Welcome everyone to the Epilogue 600 at Mandalika, where of course we'll be racing the split B and, well, splits A and B entries first and foremost today. So let's take a look into the nitty-gritty bits of the circuit. This 4.3 kilometer circuit with 18 corners in total. This track has been used for motorcycle racing first and foremost. And it is a track that is pretty much fast and sweeping. Just look at the amount of fast corners after turn 4. You're basically flat out up until turn 10, which is basically the corner southwest of, well, on this track map actually. And after that, and then you got another one of those BA corner before you reach turn 16, which is basically the hairpin right before the final corner. And then you also have the some decent overtaking opportunities, but the main straight is the only proper straight here in Mandalika. It's in the 17 corner circuit, and every race is scheduled for 150 kilometers each. And looking at the lap records, maybe we see a low 123s and maybe a 122s. We'll have to check on that later. Alright, so let's take a look into the standings after Le Mans. If we are going to take a look into what it looks like in World Qualifier Split A, Maverick DuCM currently occupies the top part of the standings. He could still not make the CEO, but it will be under extremely specific circumstances. As one of the most consistent drivers on the grid, you would think that DuCM would be able to secure his spot in the World CEO. Having, of course, already won in HoloProto Japan earlier this year at Motegi in Split A. And then looking into the rest of the field, Hoshizano Ryo in second with Eri Shinazaki, our newest ARO driver, replacing Danilo Goyena, who obviously left the ARO last week. We'll see how he will fare in his ARO debut. Dalbomi and Raiji Kazuki rounding out the top 5. Dalbomi is a hot or cold driver, with him getting a second place in, of course, Fuji Speedway. And he also got a decent performance here in the recent Serendipity Week and Serendipity races. And then looking into the drivers pretty much not having a good season here. Raymar Rosales only scoring 1 point in 2 races. He obviously needs at least a 3rd place to provisionally put him into the World CEO positions. Same goes with Joshua Asahi, who might only need a 4th, well, no, 5th. Sorry, a podium finish as well. We'll talk about Split B later in this regard, so we are just gonna have to move on into qualifying. That being said, welcome everyone here to Mandalika Street Circuit. Not really a street circuit in this regard, as it looks more like a permanent circuit. My name is Mama Reza, and we hope everyone is basically tucked in for some interesting racing action here in Mandalika. And with that out of the way, let's take a look into the session here now. Turned on. Because the first car's out on the track, Ryan Jasinski, earlier, is currently in the top 5 in the race for the CEO. His best finish actually coming in this. He got a decent finish in Le Mans, 7th. And if you do notice though, the white and black front end is because in line with this weekend being the Epilogue weekend, this serves as the epilogue to the 7th Fest. Although we had to like host this thing like 4 months after the fact. Especially because, well, I wanted to host it at the same weekend, but the issue is foresight, and none of us know which member will run what colored t-shirts, even though it is a guarantee that they will be running they'll be wearing their colorized idol outfits only partially at the final song that they will be performing. So that's that. So that's why we have to like put the Epilogue weekend as a separate weekend, but it is still part of qualifiers. So anyways, let's take a look into Shinazaki's time in Mandalika. Blast into turn 1. 325-meter mark as Shinazaki looks for the second gear. And 4. Basically, section here. once you hit the apex of turn 15, you have to immediately brake into turn 16. Brake and turn 8 at the same time. So there's going to be a 123.067. Shinozaki is currently pretty much red hot. Raymar Gonzalez is ready to respond with a P2. We're already seeing low 123s. Some interesting performances from our entrants. And we do have some breaking news coming in from the organization. As Takeda Adachi goes into the high 122s. Dak Patterson, who is scheduled to race for Isaki Ryona in tomorrow's C race, has agreed terms to be a temporary stand-in driver for Iron 15 until a replacement driver has been found. By the way, Dan Evans has basically announced that he announced his departure from the ARO literally hours before, well, the night before today, last night. So, to everyone off. And by the way, since this is a one-shot qualifier, we're seeing Jose Tonore with 122.880. Very good left from him. Meanwhile, Alcantara comes out, exiting the final quarter. He's only good enough for 9th. Toka, meanwhile, will be good enough for 5th. Meanwhile, we're looking into the other entrance here. Tawan Rumin has just gone on for his outlap. His benchmark is the driver at the back, which is Takeda Adachi. Tries to get his lap time on here in Mandalika. Ray Prower has just set a P4 for himself. Meanwhile, we're looking into we're absolutely sliding that Orca 07. Obviously, after the colorized idle outfits. He's only 2/10 off of pole position. He is currently looking very good for what looks to be a front row start if he can find more time against Adachi at least. The second sector, only 1/10 behind Hoshizano already. After 2 sectors, he's actually on pretty quick there in the second sector, and now coming into the final set of corners here. So he needs to carry as much speed as possible, make as late as possible to these corners, and trying to hook the car up, exiting the final corner. There'll be a short blast, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. He's lost a lot of time in the final sector. It will be Tawan Booming in P7. Hoshizono Rio, as he did in Fuji Speedway last March, he will take pole position here in Mandalika with everyone having already crossed the line. Takeda Adachi looking very good in P2 with Shinozaki, the Davidson ARO driver racing for Osada Pecora, has now taken P3. Kudos to Raymar Gonzalez as well, as he will be set to qualify P5. Alright, so we're gonna go take a short break before we head on into the starting lineup. So alright, so we're gonna take a short break, around 1 or 2 minutes. We will get back to you in a few moments' time. Alright, short break over, and let's take a look into how the grid will look like. Alright, and we cannot open a qualifying screen for some reason, but still. Alright, so we are just gonna take a look here as to how the grid has been set up. Alright, Hoshino Rio takes pole position here in the Epilogue 600 at Mandalika Split A race with Takeda Adachi in P2. For the Mainanis, making it in all Japanese registered front row. Shinozaki Eri would now qualify in P3 with great power P4. Shinozaki in the debut for Isara Pecora. That's a great run for Zoom. And then Rip Gonzalez in P5 for Shiranui Flair. Yukihara Toka alongside him in P6. Dalboom in P7 for Fuawa Bisgard. It's a good Fuaboko day. Usami Ake P8 for Shirakame Fubuki. Jisuke will start P9 with Harari Miyuki in P10. Javier Lusby, our Unk driver, if you will, who is I believe 43 years old, is 11th with Maverick CM 12 for Omar Polka. And Tyrell starts P13 with Joshua Sahi in P14. And running out back at the grid, Muhammad Cashew has had a good run as an invitational driver in Laguna Seca 2 weeks ago. Will start P15 alongside Reggie Kaczynski, who will start at the back of the field in P16. And right now we are coming into with a lot of questions here. 16 cars lining up on the grid. It could be anyone who will be out of the CEO series, World CEO, and it could be anyone who could be in the World CEO series. Well, let's not dwell on that for too long, as we're gonna get the cars finally gridded. And it's going to be Maverick Duciem, who of course starts, who starts off in position in Split A's Epilogue 600 at Mandalika. And it's a great start there for everyone, but look at Takeda Adachi, who's absolutely had a perfect start here, it seems, coming into turn 1. But Hoshino Rio has a way better exit there as he tries to go side by side with Adachi, with everyone else continuing on as usual. And that is a bold move from Rio to retake the lead away from Adachi. Shinozaki holds on very well in P3 with all of the 16 cars getting on scot-free. Adachi, see if he can find a move fast. But meanwhile, we are seeing Rosales and Brower going side by side. Red Rosales really needs this performance here. He's currently at the back of the grid, looking to get himself back up into position here as Ronaldo Rio leading Adachi. Shinozaki in third, Rosales P4. Great power runs out the top 5. Apologies consigned. Oh, Hanari Miyuki throw to trying to defend Duciem. Miyuki trying to hang on in the top 10, being one of the ID class representatives here and in their home soil. Asahi is also losing, trying to find a way past Taro, and you can see here Yoshu tried to get a good run off the final corner, but unfortunately it is not forthcoming. And I did set the lap count to 56. Alright, I'm gonna have to restart the race. I just realized it. Alright, can you give me a second while I fix the issue? It actually should be 35 laps. Yeah. Sorry, can you give me a moment while I try to reset the grid? Again, we apologize for the oversight. Alright, we're just gonna sort out the grid for a while we wait. I'm just gonna we see Tawan Bomin Sami Ake Jace Kinsai Hanari Mickey runs at the 10, Javier Lusby in P11 and Tanara 12. DCM 12 and Tanara 13, Joshua Asahi 14, Cashew and Raj Kazuki. Alright. We apologize for the oversight of putting the wrong lap counter. The grid has now been set back to its original format. And also, we are getting close to 200 subscribers, so if you can feel free to drop a subscription free of charge anyway. That would be much appreciated. Alright, we are just gonna have to... Oh, wait. I just realized, though, that I set the starting position incorrectly. Alright, can you... Alright. We got this thing fixed already. And obviously, just want to give a bit of a lore dump in Mandalika. Of course, this is the same track where Javier Lusby won the 24-25 Formula Hall Live International title, which it transpired to be the second and last Formula Hall Live International Series. If you've heard any announcement, the ARO will look to discontinue hosting Formula Hall Live and Hall Live GT3, at least in its current format. But anyways, we've got the cars lined back up on the grid. Alright, so this time it's properly at 35 laps. Maverick UCM at the back. We have Jose Rio on pole position, and we are off here in Mandalika once again. And this time, Jose Rio has the better start. And now as the cars come into turn 1, it is going to be there's going to be some moves there. I just noticed there Shinozaki trying to make a move onto Adachi and down the inside into turn 2. He's going to try to make his way through it. Everyone tries to get into the tight and twisty turns 2, 3, and 4. Everyone has basically survived it this time in this 35 lap race. Hoshino Rio now leads Takeda Adachi in second. Shinozaki tries to make a move down the inside onto Adachi for P2. Prower 4th and Raymar Gonzalez in P5. Now continuing to lead away against Ray Prower. Ray Prower already trying to make the charge here, but it was a big move there by Rosales at sector 1, as he made the move there onto Prower. Here's Kinsai already going down the inside on Maverick UCM, and also going for a double overtake there from the Takane Lloyd driver. Close yet for not close yet for him, as he now makes his way into the main straight as Kawabumi tries to make it 3 wide into turn 1. As you can see here, Toka now going around the outside of Sagni Ake, but it's not going to be close enough for her. Shinozaki continuing to charge forward in P3. As we're still seeing more side-by-side action at the back of the field here. Duciem and Asahi going side-by-side. This is for P11. And now we're looking now at the phase where everyone has basically just gone single file. And right now, the ARO is also pretty much busy though in the administrative section here, trying to put Dak Patterson's name onto the Irony 15 car, as he essentially becomes a temporary stand-in while the ARO tries to find a replacement driver for Irony 15. And some people might argue that this may be Patterson's big break, as of course he now will be racing in a race-winning entry. Actually, already dropping down to already going up to P14 against Kaczynski. Taro having a mare of a start, and the first few laps here is now dropped down into P16. Before 10 a.m. local time, with Rio continuing to make a huge amount of inroads here, having already pulled a 2-second gap though over Adachi in P2. And also, I hope you all can excuse some form of silence in the booth here, as of course I've been running solo commentary for as long as I can. Alright, so let's take a look here into the current progression here. We're not coming into 3 laps complete. Let's take a look into the race field monitor, and it looks to me that everyone will be hitting pretty early, with pit stops expected to take place in the early stages of this race. I mean, I feel like everyone will be making their pit stop before lap 10. Everyone has basically calmed down so far, and again I am going to stand by the fact that a track that is very good for hot lapping may not be a good track for racing. And usually people like hot lapping on circuits that have fast and free-flowing corners with huge amounts with some elevation changes, speed limit for good measure, with a lot of technical sections, but those sections, especially the ones that provide you with a lot of downforce, will mean that there's a lot of dirty air, and for the car following, it will be a massive grip loss and downforce loss, and therefore they're not able to follow the car behind, and so overtakes are going to be a bit difficult from here. See here, the gaps pretty much open up to at least 0.5 of a second for at least a few of the cars, with the exception of Kinsai, who absolutely tried it at one point. So you're going to have a huge pace. You can have a good amount of pace difference to try to force an overtake regardless. And so when it comes to strategy, on a circuit like this, you might actually want to try to undercut the opposition. But of course, if you do want to undercut, you gotta need to make sure that when you exit, you basically exit after you make a pit stop. You exit with basically open road in front of you, and therefore you're able to set faster laps than your opposition, while your opposition gets stuck in traffic. And therefore you gain time against them, and when they pit, hopefully you're able to move ahead. Continue with the current situation here in Mandalika. Adachi is currently hanging on to P2. Rio still leading here in Mandalika. Also, should give a good amount of credit here to Shinozaki, who of course has been registered in the ARO for quite some time now. However, we are seeing moves down the inside. That's Kinside trying to go down the inside of Boomy, but Boomy has the outside line coming into turns 11 and 12, and that allowed him to. Well, he is still ahead by the corner, so by definition, it is his corner. So that'll be Boomy. Now already, a bit of a lockup there for one of the entries. We want Tanner out in P16. Just chilling as usual in that Okayu number 5, as we're now seeing the first of the pit activities, including Hanare Miyuki, who now goes into the pits. Same goes for Raijin. I think it felt like there has been a huge amount of consistency. There's a decent amount of consistency so far in the aero competitions. We've gone so long where we see the same grid that hasn't changed since. I cannot remember actually when. Since Ahmed El Ashor left in November, we've had like a pretty solid and consistent lineup. And then he was replaced a few months ago by Tayo, following his perceived lack of commitment to racing. But anyways, we do have more drivers coming into the pits. There's Raymond Gonzalez trying to join in Hanari Miyuki, who have already come in for pit stops, and goes with Raiji Kaczynski. And speaking of consistency, as we mentioned earlier, Kaczynski will have raced in the ARO non-stop for what should be 4.5 years now. I cannot believe I'm saying this. 4.5 years of Raiji Kaczynski and Yuzuki Choko in ARO competitions. In terms of like driver VTuber pairing, this has got to be one of the most loyal and while looking into the other guys making pit stops and all that. Miyuki is now up into P13 so far. Still behind Toka. And Raymond Gonzalez, of course, having already made his pit stop, is now going to see if he can have a stint of his life as he tries to get closer and closer to the leaders. Rio, Adachi, Shinozaki, Prower. Samyake will continue on for one more lap before he will make his pit stop, and also Maverick 2CM. Rosales now coming into turn 13. We are going to be taking a look here into Adachi and Rio. And now you can see they're both exiting at the same time. They both exited at the same time, but it's going to be Rio still leading Adachi. It will be Rio who will be ahead, exiting the pit stops as it stands. And meanwhile, as we're taking a look into Rosales, who has just exited the final corner. And it looks to me that the overcut strategy continues to become the strategy of the day, as we're now seeing Rosales only barely losing out to Great Prower, but he does have warm tires, so he should be able to try to attack while he can with warm tires here. And also I do notice though that Rosales has not moved out of P4. Rio, Adachi, Shinozaki, their strategy have not canceled out. with the top 3 having pitted at exactly the same time. Meanwhile, Luzby and Gashu going side by side. 4P14 on the 4P14 in this race. Except DCM and Antara, who will be continuing for another lap. Leo now currently leads the field of those who have already made a pit stop. Adachi, meanwhile, is going to try to go at it down the inside into turn 16. Just too close, just not close enough there from the Inani's driver. To the next set of corners here. Adachi now getting very close here as we now see Joshua Asahi come into the pits. So it's going to be Ryo, Adachi, Shinozaki, Rosales, and Prower making up the top 5 on the grid, with Toka, Miyuki, Ake, Kinsai, and Rumi looking to occupy a top 10 spot. Of course, we are going to have to wait and see about Ducien and Tara, who have been extending their stints for about 2 laps now. Compared to the leaders, they may just be running out of fuel, and Lucien will be continuing on, and Tanarao will go into the pits. So it's going to be highly unlikely that Tanarao will take the lead from here. But he will be able to move away from the back of the pack, as that's where he was at the time. UCM also currently in mid-pack right now, and we are taking a look at the drivers who are now coming into the final corner. And Tarao is still pretty much stationary in his pit box. Chisinski still just now exited the final corner. And now Tannerall is going to look to gain at least 1 or 2 positions from where he stands right here. And as you can see, Tannerall now exiting the pit lane, and he now goes up into P14. So their strategy doing some work for him. Lucien, meanwhile, is going to see if he can get into P11 or P12. That will be his expected position after his pit stop. And to no surprise, he goes into the pits. So right now, this is going to be a pretty much straightforward shootout from this point on. Lucien having already gone into the pits. Rio now gets out. And right now we're going to be taking a look here. Looks to me that Kinsai will secure P10. Gawa Mumin may just actually take P10. So it will be Lucien in P11 as we have expected earlier. Wojciechowski currently in P16, looking to see if he can get himself into the point speed positions. A reminder that the top 15 will award you points. So 12 laps complete, and we have now just completed the first third of this race. And we do want to hope that the race concludes as quickly as it does, because we also have the Split B race to host. Adachi in P2, now chasing Hoshizano Rio for the top spot. Now just continuing on. Adachi again and Hoshizano Rio. These two have absolutely been at it ever since the end of the pit stop cycle. And looking at the Takodachi right now, who's currently in P2, he's been, of course, one of those drivers who have also been dedicated in his craft of Oshikatsu, if you will, against, well, not exactly against Oshikatsu for his Oshiina. He's got an interesting winning record here, Adachi. Looking into the record. Looking into the information sheets. He's already won twice in Formula Hall Life, where he won in Indonesia back in 23-24 in, I believe that was Mandalika. Where he won after penalties. He won regardless of penalties. And he also won the recent Laguna Seca race in Formula Hall Life. Now looking into lap 14 being complete. It's still Rio leading Adachi. Still not a lot of change here. Looking at the progress chart here, Hanari Yuki has gained the most positions with 3 so far. And one of the biggest losers is Javier Rusby, who lost 4 positions to start P11. And obviously, we had races hosted in Japan, United States, Indonesia, etc. Basically, Hall-Lice's target market. I find it to be an interesting investment choice for Cover to also put a lot of effort into the Indonesian market. I mean, on paper, it is a no-brainer. It is a pot country of nearly 300 million strong, and they obviously have a strong weed culture as well, as we're now seeing potential moves there. Ray Prowse just made his move on to Ray Gonzalez, and as it stands right now, Rosales will not make the World Studio, at least in his current position here. I think it was a case of him just locking up at turn 16. Which sent him tumbling down, well, just one position. Lap 16, and it looks, and currently it will be Samiake also looking for a move against Hanari Miyuki in P7. Oh, that's a great sequence of corners there from Ake as he now is about to go down the inside. answer is no. Meanwhile, currently in P2, still looking for something against Rio. Ake in P8, Kinsai in P9, UCM in 11th. You can see here, this is what I mean. Drivers behind struggling to make passes here, and as you can see here, DCM after going too close there to Booming, he's got that aero outwash and he got loss of grip. And speaking of which, on the HoloLive side of things, if you love your gacha games and you want to see a proper HoloLive game in the market. There exists. Oh, there's a move down the inside though from Takeda Adachi there, and exiting the final corner. He went down the inside onto Rio, and now Adachi's looking to now take the lead away. With 17 laps complete, we have now officially reached the halfway stage. Kinsai having also made his inroads against Sami. Samiaki manages to force a move around the inside to take back the position, which is a pleasant sight though for the Spongu. Seeing their driver making moves. Rio, meanwhile, currently still in P2, Shinozaki P3, Grip Power in P4. And right now we're looking at the Shinozaki as well, getting very close to Rio. As we're now seeing more moves around the outside on the final corner. That is, that looks like Kinsai trying to force a move against Miyuki. Meanwhile, with Sami Miyake and Dawabobi also going at it between each other. We're seeing racing action here in the mid stages of this race, with Miyuki being shoved around the outside by Kinsai. And I do want to give a bit of a lord drop here. If you like HoloLive games, in addition to HoloLive Dreams, which is actually had a soft launch, they basically had been launched earlier in beta right now. And speaking of which, if you're talking about those games, there is a HoloLive indie game called Holo Trials Case Covered, and of course, we at the ARO would like to see the game be released, and I do want to try the game out and play it in the ARO channel as a simple, as a token of gratitude to some of our indie developers making online games, and of course. looking back, we also have, about the low drop. Remember Chase Kinsai? He's actually one of our writers. He's actually one of the writers in Holo Trials case cover. So having someone like him to do the writing for what should be an interesting game, while also representing the Kaneloi in ARO competitions, it has been a massive blessing. As Kinsai also tries to make it work on the track. And I do want to point out though that Kinsai has actually won a single race in last year's Sugo 160 minutes B race. So he does have race-winning pedigree to his name. Obviously, it still pales in comparison to some, but as you can see here, he's not going to be competing for the win in today's race. Great Prow continues his climb up the field. He's already passed Shinozaki for P3. Now we're looking at Ray Prower chasing Hoshino Rio for what is currently P2. And a great move there from Ray Prower, but you can see here he is clearly the fastest car out on the field. After the disappointment of the Serendipity weekend, where he exited early due to multiple engine problems. And both of them, in both of the races, he exited early. As far as he's gone, I believe he's around 4 or 5 laps in. But anyway, we are going to be seeing here Prower trying to get a bit of a lockup there from Rio, which allows Prower to close down the gap. And maybe the door is open, but maybe not. The leaders setting almost identical lap times. But Prower is the fastest out of anyone so far. Currently 16 cars occupy looks like half of the pit boxes available. Well, over half of the pit boxes available. So we're going to revert back to the classic splits A, B, C, and D format. Right now, Prower is chasing Rio still, and we're now seeing more moves here. Antara has now moved up into P13 against Muhammad Cashew. So give these guys a bit of a limelight. Alright, we're just gonna check around and continue the race as usual, as we're now seeing Prower continuing to pile on the pressure onto Rio. So, you can see here Prower absolutely trying to stretch his car. Right now, there's still nothing coming out of it, as we're seeing Kinsai currently in P7, continuing his climb up the field. This time he is not caught up to Yukihara Toka. Now exiting turn 10, it is Kinsai still trying to find a way to get close. Prower also has been struggling to make the pass onto Rio, as we've mentioned earlier. This is a pretty much the track of a lot of high-speed corners, which will prevent a lot of drivers from finding ways to get alongside. But we are going to see Prower try his hand anyway. After 24 laps, after 23 laps, it is still Adachi in control over Rio in second. And Adachi looking to win for the first time since last. Wait, I'm just gonna double check here because no way Adachi won. Oh wow! Oh wow! Yeah, it was back in 2024 when Adachi last won a race in it was over 2 years ago when Adachi last won here in Mandalika in Formula Hall Life, but he will try to make it so that he will win in HoloProto as well. Right now, he's only 2 seconds ahead of Rio, who, as you may know, has started on pole position for today's race. Wow, doesn't have a good exit though. Okay, maybe he does actually have a good exit. Okay, not really. It's like currently in P7, Lucian P10. Schedule ahead of us. With Hall GT3 set to conclude. With next week's race being the final race of Hall GT3. Inside P7, still trying to find a way past Toka in P6. Oh, here comes a move there from Great Power. It's been coming for a long time here, and this time Great Power has find a way to get close enough for an overtake into turn 16, and now he is in P2. It is now an Ian Class 1-2 coming into the final 10 laps in this race. Oh poo, we are gonna slightly overrun. But right now we are just gonna have to press on right here with Prower still charging against Adachi for for the P1 spot. Prower looking to vindicate his poor performance at Laguna Seca 2 weeks ago. Adachi looking for his first win since 2024. Oh, storyline's already looking pretty red hot here. I actually need to calm my throat down in this regard. But you can see here, everyone's just gonna keep going at it. Brower has actually caught on to Adachi. Meanwhile, at the back, we have Boomin and Asahi going side by side. And Boomin already making his way up into P11. It is not his day yet. Yeah, they had some of his days. Well, in Laguna Seca, he did finish at least in the top 3 after the exclusion of the JP class entries from the standings. As we now see Great Power now go down the inside on to Adachi. This is the battle for the lead here in the turn 11 and 12. Adachi sticks around the inside at turn 12, but it will still be a Great Power with a great run in turn 13. But he has had a massive, an interesting lockup there into turn 13, and it will give the lead back to Adachi. The lead change hands temporarily before Adachi takes it back from a Great Power mistake. And with that lockup, you might think that the battle is over, but I'm not considering that one just yet, because there is still a things done against Adachi. He's currently in the lead. Shizaki in P4. Still looking for something against Rio in P3. Looking for a debut podium for the recently hired Philippine driver. We'll have less than 8 laps to go before we decide today's splitting race. Before we move on to split B. Who's basically had a mare of lap here, 128. Not looking very good for him. And we are just noticed there Toka and Boomin already looking to be out of this race. We will check onto what happened with them. So for Toka, it's an engine failure. And it's for Tao and Boomin, it's a case of, I believe, an engine failure as well. So since Toka went farther, Toka will be the one who will be scoring a point. Yep, that's an engine failure. That is an engine failure, unfortunately, for them. And meanwhile, as we do want to point out that Great Power is actually taking the lead away from Adachi. But we are seeing mistakes after mistake from Power. And meanwhile, I do want to take a look into what Power had done to take the lead. And I think it's not as straightforward as it seems, because here's what actually happened. Looking at Takeda Adachi. Oh, yeah, he just went off the track. Lost a bit of momentum, and that is basically Great Power taking the lead in this race. And now it's going to be Great Power looking to vindicate his performances at Laguna Seca. Now, Great Power has actually won for Mokoko once in Fuji Speedway. He's won for Mokoko this year at Fuji. And he's also won for Mokoko last year in the Fuji 100 minutes in the World CO. So obviously this is going to be win number 2 in HoloProto and win number 3 in all competitions. And right now we are just going to Asai, meanwhile, in P10. Still chasing semi-active for P9. We also want to give a bit of a shout out there to Shinozaki here, having made debut. Having made their debut only recently. Having replaced Danilo Guyana, who abruptly left the organization a week ago. Actually done a pretty good job here in basically their debut. Now currently in P4 as we see Shinozaki trying to make a move down the inside onto Rio for P3. Of course, time is money. And depending on your interpretation, it could be a blessing or a curse. Actually, drivers are saying 126s after 31 laps. So anyways, Great Power looking to bring home the dub here in Mandalika, which is basically a Oh, and as Great Power making a slight mistake, it seems, and now we're seeing Adachi slightly reining him back in. But the question is there enough time? Right now, we're just going to see if the time is just going to extend or close down. And the answer is not really a lot. Honestly, I didn't really close down a lot, but look at this top 5 gap. Raymond Gonzalez will put up commendable fight, but it won't be enough for him to make the World CO. And as it stands, he will also not make the JP CO either. He will be one of the few drivers who have guaranteed a spot in the Zako series on both sides, in both World and JP. So Toka and Bumin, the only DNFs in today's race, all of them due to engine failure. Mandalika, and the gap's still pretty much open. Unless there's a mistake somewhere, and there is a mistake. That is Great Prower having made his lock up there onto the penultimate corner. And they'll open the door for Takeda Adachi to try to see if he can make a move. And there's a full second loss there from Prower. And Samiaki's crashed. Samiaki's crashed on the penultimate lap of the race, and he will try to get himself back. He is moving. But I think there's just too much damage on the car, and he will be out. And I think this is pretty much unforced there from Ake. As we see here, a massive block up there, and at the same time we also saw Mamadou CM had his moment, and also contact for good measure to outside Tanarao. Oh, that's pretty ugly. But will be Ake out, and Tanarao will still hang on with a pretty damaged car. He will try to hang on for at least 2 more laps. Meanwhile, Adachi tried to see if he can get his first win in the ARO competition since 2024. The race is now coming down to this, with Adachi now chasing Great Prower after 33 laps of racing. We are now coming into one and a half more laps. Adachi leads Prower. Prower leads Adachi. And now seeing Rio now making going off wide as well. Will Great Prower make another mistake? And Shinozaki now goes down the inside onto Rio for P3. There's time to be gained from Prower. Meanwhile, Adachi has to watch in anguish as his chances of a win is going to slip away. Final lap is just started here in Mandalika for the Split A race here in the Epilogue 600 in Mandalika. Rio manages to hang on into P3. If both Rio and Shinozaki crash, then suddenly it will be Rosales getting back into this hunt. And right now, there could be, and I mean could be, a slim chance that Rosales could make the World CEO anyway from this position. But of course, results need to go his way. But I think if he needs to be safe, he needs to be in P3. Shinozaki still trying to find a way past Rio. But Raymar Gonzalez is going to try to make a move for what looks to be a move that might save his career, might save his season. But Great Prower has not has had some mistakes. But he's still going to hang on right now. And it looks to me that Great Prower is going to take everyone prisoner, as we're now seeing Rio Shinozaki. Oh no! There's going to be a big mistake there from Great Prower, and Takeda Adachi has stolen it right at the death. Takeda Adachi has managed to steal the win here in Split A. This is Epilogue 600 Mandalika. A mistake from Prower has absolutely costed him to win. Adachi wins for the first time in 2 years. Hoshizuna Rio survives a last lap onslaught from Shinozaki in P3. Raymar Gonzalez finishes P5, and with Kinsai finishing P6, I think it will be Raymar Gonzalez out of the seal. But what a move that was from Takeda Adachi. Great Prower with the mistake that costed him a win. The drivers already crossed the line. Let's take a look into the drivers. Takeda Adachi takes a very emphatic, well, not exactly an emphatic win, but what a win that was from Adachi. It's basically pressuring Prower into a mistake. The Intimidator is the intimidated here in today's race, as Great Prower basically only secures P2 and might just be a ticket for him to be in the CEO. Hoshizuna Rio finishes P3, which will basically guarantee him a spot at the top of the Split A standing. Shinozaki finishes P4 in its ARO debut. With Red Gonzalez P5, it has been a valiant effort for him, but I don't think it will be him in the Suyo. Kinsai finishes P6. With Hanari Miyuki finishing in P7 with a solid run for her that may or may not be enough for her to be in the Suyo. Maverick Duciem finishes P8. And it won't be enough for him to topple Hoshizan Rios' reign at the top. Asahi P9. Which also means he will not be in the Suyo. And P10 will go to Altzer and Tanarao. Which it may just be enough. Cashew P11, Javier Lusby in P12. Which the veteran driver will also not be racing in the Suyo. Raji Kaczynski takes P13 with Yuki Artoka. Raji Kaczynski 13th. Let me just check. With Samyaki taking P14 despite the accident. And 15th place going to Yuki Haratoka. Right. So let's take a look into the championship standings here for Split A. Wow. So anyways, it was basically it's basically an in it to win it moment for Adachi. Great Power has been pressured into a mistake, and mistake he did on 2 separate occasions, no less, which basically threw him a chance for a win. Well, let's take a look into the championship standings here. Whoop. Let me just take a look into the. Yeah, I saved some video. I saved images there. But anyways, let's take a look into let's take a look into this basically the stats hub, and basically take a look into how the drivers have basically how the drivers have basically got on with the race here. Just gonna lock this one. All right. So, following the results in Mandalika, we are just gonna confirm this to you all. Just gonna confirm this to you all. Yeah, Hoshizano Ryo has secured his place at the top end of the standings. Shinozaki finishes P2 with Maverick DCM in P3. And with only the top 8 giving you the spot in the World CEO Series, it will be, essentially, I got some interesting names out of the CEO as well. Tawan Bowman with the DNF essentially gets sent into the Zako, while Great Per Hour makes it into the CEO. Takeda Dachi's win essentially also trusts him into the CEO spots, as well as Great Per Hour. Aries' run also basically confirms the spot in the CEO. Jace Kinsai's 6th place as well has basically given him a route back into the CEO here. Man, what context that we have! What context that we have seen here in Mandalika. So anyways, looking into this one, Mama Cashew and Hanari Miyuki have done not enough to get the salts into the CEO. Raymar Gonzalez, after having a poor start to the season, even with a P5 finish, it won't be enough for him to make the CEO. Yukara Toka, Joshua Sahi, Javier Lusby, and Sami Ake will join them into the World Zako Series. As we're now about to get ourselves ready for the Split B race. Man, what a entertaining race that was. As we're now about to get the Split B field ready. And remember, there has been recent news that Dak Patterson have essentially made a late replacement for the departing Dan Evans, on which we will all right. So we have already changed the name to Dag, as we're about to get the Split B field underway. Obviously, we're not going to be racing with guests this time by. But, alright, Split B. We're just going to go for a short preview before we get to the crux of this one. Now, for World Qualifier Split B, it is going to be a interesting... For Split B, is going to be a pretty interesting story here, because looking into the Split B standings, it was supposed to be Dan Evans who will be at the top end of the standings, but now that he's gone, it is unclear on whether or not drivers such as Dak Patterson will be able to maintain the momentum. So let's take a look into the Split B standings here as before we start our qualifying session. So, prior to Evans' departure, he leads Momashaki Reza by 25 points, and Hyuta Sano by a further 95. But now that he's gone, we will see how it goes for the 15 drivers who will be racing here. Reba, Mikolev, Jake Goodwin, Wizard, and Matthias Zacharias currently occupy the provisional CEO spots. Aquazuri is the first driver on the below the cut line. And a good mid-place, mid-back finish for her will place her into the CEO series in World. Same goes for Hofumi, who's also looking pretty competitive here. Meanwhile, Alex Grant, Enzio Ferrari, Corica Mendez, Rustin Carrasco, and Evan Kilromi will require a great result here in Mandalika to even have a sniff of a chance to get themselves into the CEO series. Alright, let's take a look into the qualifying session here, as we do hope to not spend too much time. Obviously, we got our first cars out on the track here. At the back here we have the ARO 15 car, currently wearing also the helmet of his former mate in the competitions. Here's Dak Patterson, who of course agrees at the last minute to basically take over for the departing Dan Evans. He's had a pretty mixed season so far for Isaki Riona so far this year, but we'll see how he fares as the stand-in driver temporarily. And obviously, withdrawing an entry would be the last-ditch effort. Well, withdrawing an entry would be the outcome if we couldn't find a replacement driver. Or Dak Patterson having agreed terms to also take over for the departing Dan Evans, of course, basically have left the ARO at the last minute, and by last minute I mean hours before, well, 12 hours before the stream and qualifying was supposed to take place. Now here we are, Dak Patterson currently repping the colors of ARO 15. Can't help but smile at the occasion. Also looking to see a good for once. Ever since he replaced Enzo Ferrari at the Le Mans, he has not had finishes higher than P10. But we'll see if the teams can change here in Mandalika, which of course is currently is already in the second half stage of the season. And it's a pretty decent lap though, 28.340 on the first sector. Currently just set a 22.588 and also the 22.550 for Ryuta Asano. Alright, as we're going to see Ryuta Asano also completing his lap, we're going to pay attention though to Zacharias, which we're trying to find him. As you can see, it's already a 108 for him. The pink colored Orca 07 already completing a lap here. And it will be a pretty decent exit though. It will be a 123. He will be mid-pack for Zacharias as it stands. Dak Patterson will complete his lap to start P4. Looks like the UFE car is indeed very competitive. Draw competitors be damned. As Patterson now places that UFE number 15 into P4. What will Aqua Azuri do? And it will be P4 for Azuri. She's already making the car work right now. Rossi Carrasco completing his lap. It will be P9. Corey Comendes now coming into the pits. We are going to be checking here on to which of the drivers are going to make it this one. Shakir Reza having yet to complete his lap. Let's see how the current runner-up in the standings go. There's a poor exit though. I don't think he will be having a competitive run here. And coming in right by the last driver to cross the line. It will be a P. Yep, it will be second last on the grid. He will be lining up alongside his fellow Gen 5 teammate. Alright, we're going to take another short break here as everyone has basically done their one-shot qualifying. So we are going to take a short break before we introduce every one of us to the starting lineup for the split B race of the Epilogue 600 at Mandalika. I don't know. Oh, alright. Okay. Let's not to waste too much of our time. The grid has already been set. Of course, we have Utah. Wait. Utah, what the hell? Wait. I need to double check though, because I might be missing crucial information. Missing crucial information. Oh yeah, okay, never mind. Asano has actually set fastest time with a 122.550, beating Evelyn Kuromi by only 3 1,000ths of a second. Okay, it is pretty much accurate. So, care to see an all Indonesian front row? Anyways, let's take a look onto the grid here for the split B race of the how do I say this? Oh yeah, the Epilogue 600 and Mandalika. Let's take a look into the starting lineup here for the split B grid. Ryuta Asano and Evelyn Kuromi make an all Indonesian front row in their own home race. At least as far as drivers are concerned. Enzo Ferrari will start P3 in another great run there in the Crazy Oli number 13. So there's great Indonesian representation in the top 3. Aquazuri will start P4 for Ozora Subaru. Jack Patterson with another great start for Jack Patterson starting 5th for Irene 15 as a stand-in driver for Dan Evans until we can find a full-time replacement driver. Corey Mendes P6 for Takanashi Chiara with Matias Zagaria 7th for Laura Patera. Hofumi starts P8 for Tokino Sora, Rosen Coraccio, and Jay Goodwin round out the top 10 for Lapis Darkness and Okami Miya respectively. Alex Grant starts P11 for Cecilia Ibegreen with Isaka Jimikalev 12 for Sakura Miko. Shakariza and Kaminari Riba make up an all Gen 5 front row, a Nepalabo front row, all Nepalabo row on row 7, and Ozzy Wizard starts at the back for Inugami Korone. Alright, with 35 laps to run here in the Split B race, there's no room for error, as what we saw earlier. If you want to bring home the big W here in Mandalika, it's going to be Ryuta Asano leading the field as we go green soon, with Evelyn Kuromi alongside. And it will be the cars making their way at the start here. It will be Ryuta Asano on pole position for Split B of the Epilogue 600 Mandalika, and we are off. And it will be the hometown driver making his way up into turn 1. Evelyn Kuromi has a decent start as everyone will now make their way into turn 1. Asano continues to defend his P1 so far, with Ferrari now making his way up into P2. Could we see Crazy Oli get her first win in ARO competitions? We'll have to wait and see, as Asano now leads Ferrari. Evelyn Kuromi is in 3rd. Patterson now moves up into P4 against Azuri in P5. Menendez is in 6th, and already coming in very close to Azuri's tail. Zakaria is 7th, Fumi 8th, Coraccio 9th, and also Jake Goodwin inside the top 10. Great race so far. And we're now seeing Ripa and Shakariza go at it between each other. Meanwhile, we are seeing though moves down the inside from what looks like Mendes. And then we're seeing Corserino trying to make moves there. Already trying to defend her move, defend her P5, and now as you see here, Mendes going around the outside, and also Paxton into P4. And Paxton will do everything in his power to get that P4 done. Great run for him so far. Mendes against Aquazuri. On the outside goes Azuri trying to defend her P6 here. She's been overtaken by Corey Mendes. And there's still a lot of tit for tat here as Azuri forces Zacharias off into an alternate racing line and now Fluent is about to try to take the scraps. Remember, top 8 will send you into the World CEO Series. In P2, and obviously this is a great Indonesian showdown in Split B, and that's what the locals absolutely want to see. And meanwhile, Asano continues to pull away from the rest of the pack. And then you look at Asano, who of course had won 3 times actually. One in Formula Hall Live in his debut for DG Murin in Mandalika. And the other times he did win, he also won Formula Hall Live for Minato Aqua. Right before Aqua, as announcer, right as Aqua was about to graduate. Asano having had 3 very emotional wins. One of these wins coming in from his debut. Oh, and Corey Mendes! Corey Mendes is at an engine failure, and he is now out of the Split B race here in Mandalika. But he will be guaranteed a single point. And so this will look to me that Corey Mendes is now out of the CEO series. Out of the World Series. But meanwhile, we are looking at the rest of the field, and especially Asano, who, of course, when we look back into his emotional wins, 122.811 for him on this lap, the fastest of anyone so far. Asano, apart from his debut, apart from a win on his debut, he's also won literally a few days before Minato Aqua's graduation from Hall Life, and also the race after that. He did eventually give Minato Aqua a belated, or maybe, can you call it posthumous? Post-graduation title for Minato Aqua in the Formula Hall Life Japan's Zako Cup. It may just be the Zako Cup, but it is a accolade that Minato Aqua should be proud of, with one of her Aqua crew, Fuyuta Asano, who is currently carrying on his legacy in the ARO representing GG Murin. Oh, and look at Jake Goodwin though, absolutely taking the position back though from Mikolev, setting that car note, absolutely spirited there. Zuri has now gone back up into P5. Kuromi looking to find a way past Ferrari. Remember, we're already in 3 laps complete, and this time we are seeing a more varied strategy here. Kaminari Riba is going to try to go for a 0-stop strategy. I'm not sure if this will work, but we will have to wish him the best of luck in this regard. Everyone else will be pitting before lap 10, with Kaminari Riba being the only exception, and he's doing pretty well in 12th. Can that no-stop strategy work for the SSRB member? So Kuromi in P3, Patterson P4. And right now, the hegemony has not been disrupted that much. Patterson doing a very good job as the reserve. And you might think that this may be a competitive advantage for him as he will. Trying to find a way past Zuri in P5. Grant in 11th, Nicolette 10th. Everyone basically just chilling right now. And if you want to talk about stalwart drivers in ARO competitions, we also want to take a look into names such as Shakir Reza, Alex Grant, who have stayed in ARO competition since 2022. Meanwhile, we are seeing side-by-side action between Goodwin and Mikolev. Goodwin now goes around the outside of Mikolev, but Mikolev manages to get that position in. Passing currently in P4, and if he does get a podium and maybe a win, then what is going on here? Like, he can't win for Isaki Ryona for the love of him. I'm not mocking, it's just... I'm just shocked. I mean, there's just a lot of things that have went against him. It's just not funny. Well, let's just hope that things will change for this race. As Patterson becomes the first driver to come in for his pit stop, Corrica Mendez will Marshall in P7. As usual, into Fumi in P6, Zakara is in P5, Azuri P4. Of course, Sparks flying. You'll love to see it. Shows you that the cars are being pushed to the ragged edge. Oh yeah, while we basically handle this race at this point, so we're just gonna play standings while we watch the race from our screen. All right. As you can see here, standings and you just say what is going on here. But yeah, the first driver out of the CEO is at 177 points, so it is still a pretty much a big question mark as to how the race will proceed. And I just noticed here, Osner Wizard has already retired from this race as well. Or rather, oh, sorry, no, he's just made a pit stop. My bad. Anyways, Evelyn Kuromi has had a pretty slow exit off of turn 16. Well, Dawichi now goes into the pits. And I do notice, though, a few other names have already gone on into the pits. Asano have already made its way to the pits as well, with open air in front of them. So this will be an advantage when it comes to the undercut strategy. Right. So, apologies for the slight the silence in the commentary. I do want to just chill right now. You know, Zacharias is now getting very close there into Azuri here. As they're going for the overcut strategy right now. A little bit of a lockup from her as actually both of them have decided to go into the pits at the same time, so the strategies have basically against each other. Enzo Ferrari is now currently in the lead, but for how much longer can he hang on? Kuromi currently in P7. Asano is basically dropped down to P8 after the overcut strategy has done wonders once again. So basically, the overcut strategy is basically the opposite of the undercut. Stay out for as long as you can while you can set fast laps. And then when you pit, hopefully you don't have to spend a lot of time in the pits due to the refueling strategy. And then you can exit still in front and maybe extend the gap to those who have pitted earlier. Alright, for those who have already made a pit stop here. Patterson has now moved up into what looks like a possibly a P3, but we will have to wait on to Ferrari's pit stop decision. Oh, and I think Hofumi has had an issue somewhere. I think I noticed Hofumi has had a problem. So here's what happened to Hofumi. I think this is a pretty isolated case for him. And I think this is a case of an engine failure. Yup, engine failure for Hofumi will send him out packing early with wasn't it Wizard, unfortunately. Will also be out of the World CEO as it stands as well. And right now we're just gonna keep on paying attention to the current situation here in here as Ferrari have now gone on into the pit box right now, and he has basically I don't think he's going to be able to maintain the lead here. As we see, Evelyn Kuromi now makes her way into the top of the standings here. The Rosarian making her way up into the lead here. Kuromi now is in second place. Asano, who had been in control for much of this race, is now down into P3. But again, if he can, 2 second stint is going to be the fastest out of anyone, and overtakes are indeed possible. The win will still be on. Patterson is still hanging on to a solid P4. So we are just gonna have to check on what is going on here. I mean, it could definitely be anyone at this point. Goes. Now we can see here Jack Patterson is continuing to charge here. And also just a reminder that Governor Ripa, as the driver who has basically fueled up the most, he is carrying the heaviest load of anyone so far, but he doesn't have to make yet another pit stop. Hofumi and Corey Gimenez are of course out of this race. All eyes will be on Riba as to how he will be approaching this race from this point on. It will be enough as it stands. Right now, he currently has the lead. Asano, Patterson, who, of course, Fasano currently in P4, still trying to make his way into the podium positions here. But we will have to wait and see how Reba handles the situation here. The other lap cars are basically not high. Reba still in the lead, and Wizard still pretty much sizable. They're actually in opposite ends of the track, from what I can tell. Mikulov now in P12, looking to find a way past Goodwin, who obviously had a mixed bag of results at Laguna Seca 2 weeks ago. Finished P3, I believe, as an invitational driver at Laguna Seca, before he crashed out while battling for the lead. And the next day, and so Goodwin might have a point to prove here, as he is just going to have to go ahead. So he's now down into P7, I just noticed. Now about to come to the top of the stage here in this Mandalika race. That was, I can actually press hide. Alright, we are now coming into the conclusion of today's race. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to... right, while the, we're now at 14 laps complete. Nothing much has changed. Coming in Reba, there's a gap to Corona has now closed down to 14 seconds. Or rather, less than 14 seconds. And so we are just gonna have to check on... I got a lot of things to write. But anyways, the closest battle right now is Zacharias McLevin P12 trying to chase Goodwin for P11. And Zacharias against Patterson for the P5 spot. check Reza, who's currently in P10. Who started in P13, is now doing a pretty good job, but Kaminariba is of course the one to watch out for, of course, who had gone for the super, basically tried to go for a very conservative zero-stop strategy. And he does have the oldest tires that have anyone so far, so right now he is currently being reeled back by Kurobi, who is currently about a second faster, I think, or at least half a second faster. Feels like Kurobi can set 124s, Riba can set 125s. I feel like, okay, just gonna give a bit of an update on the driver side of things. Gap is now dropped down to 12.8 seconds, but I don't think it's dropped down by that much. Kurobi has lost a lot of time. And now here Asano and Enzio Ferrari are going to be looking to get themselves close to the action, as the three drivers who occupy the top three spots in qualifying, all of them having Indonesian relations. It's absolutely going to give the locals something to absolutely cheer about. Asano now going around the outside potentially, and a switch down the inside it will be for Asano down into turn 1 to send him into the podium positions. Asano has been impressive, mind you, throughout this entire HoloProto season so far. The driver who's currently P3 in International, the driver who's currently P3 in Japan, is about to try to bring home a podium finish for Gigi Murin. For someone who has gone through a lot, this is going to be a massive boost of morale and confidence. I'm still very close to the action here. Ripa is starting to lose some time. Against Kurumi, the gap's now dropped down to 11 seconds. The zero-stop strategy for Ripa is starting to absolutely show. Asano now having a very good exit off the final corner. Will have to try it again. And this time he will commit on the outside line. I think he he might just be able to get the move done. Asano now goes down the outside. Oh, almost got a collision there with Enzo Ferrari, and now Asano is in P3. And now Asano's next target will be Evelyn Kuromi, who is currently leading this field of cars. Another Indonesian. It'll be an Indonesian versus Indonesian battle, at least when it comes to the drivers. Have to check on to the situation here. Asano absolutely closing in on to Corona. He is indeed the fastest car of anyone so far. And if you think he might, if you want to find a time where he might make a move, you might think that he might do it in the next lap. But he didn't get that, so it will be a slight breather for Kuromi, who is currently hanging on that second place by a thread. And looking turns 11 and 12, Asano still charging forward with purpose. A good exit here and a good run off of the second party S's will be crucial. If Asano can make a move early and give more time to get catch up to Riba, and because now Riba's pace is slowing down like crazy. Just look at Riba's last lap, 126.650. Asano can set a 124. And so right now, they're all setting 125s, mostly because Asano has been stuck behind Kuromi. And now getting absolutely close there, Asano with a pretty good exit there off of turn 4. But he has dropped back. I think he's had a poor exit there. Looks like Asano will have to fight again. You can see Asano having way more confidence in the corners. And as you can see here, oh, a bit of a lockup there from Kuromi. That's going to allow the door for Asano to take P2 with an outside move around turn 16. Could there be a surprise lockup there from Kuromi? Because Kuromi is absolutely hanging on, but for how much longer? Asano really needs a good exit off of the final corner. And I think it is an okayish exit because Kuromi has managed to match that one. But also, they're all closing in onto Cabernet Riba as Patterson will now go down the inside onto Enzo Ferrari. Patterson trying to make his way into P4. Surprise dive bomb to upset. It might be a switchback move. Switchback move there, but Patterson has not been able to secure that move just yet. Patterson now tries to see if he can go for a potential dive bomb down the inside. The answer is going to be no. get ever so closer to Kuromi. Kuromi is still just trying to keep on going. Oh, it's a big lockup from her. And it's going to be Asano getting very close to the action. Try again, and this time the exit is I'm not sure if it's better or not, because okay, it's not good. He still has it stuck in behind Chloe with about 12 laps to go. Still you can see here how much Asano has been struggling to keep it in the corners. Cars are absolutely not. The car's absolutely not cooperating with Kuromi right now. Kuromi absolutely wants this win, so that's why she's keeping her wits about it, as the gap between herself and Riva have now closed down to 3.3 seconds. The top 5 are about to meet each other once again. Oh, and there's a massive lockup there once again. Both Kuromi and Asano has to take evasive action. And now into the final set of corners here. Asano will try to land a move around the final corner. But, oh my goodness, Kuromi has been able to absolutely respond and then some. And now we have the top, the second and third place cars now matching the leaders almost. And here we're going to have to see Kuromi try it again. Now coming into turn 10. It's basically flat out from here at this point on. Could Asano try to make a late dive bomb at this stage of this race? Maybe not. And once again, Kuromi is struggling to keep the car in the right direction, but also at the same time prevents Asano from taking P2. This is some interesting racecraft there that we're seeing there from Kuromi. And right now, she's putting Kuromi in basically the wrong places. And right now, Asano will have to try again, and again, and again, while all of them are slowly catching up to Kamine Riba, who's currently still leading this Split B race. 25 laps complete, 10 laps to go, and it's still pretty much a coin toss as to who's going to be winning this one. Asano now finally get to see it move down the inside onto Asano onto turn 16. A poor exit from Asano is gonna cost her P2, and it will be Asano now only having Kamine Riba separating him and another win in HoloProto. This is gonna be said to be his second in HoloProto and his fourth in ARO competition if he does manage to fight off Kaminari Reba, who of course is no longer on a full load of fuel, but the tires are absolutely gone. Asano only has a pretty small window as to make the overtake onto Kaminari Reba. That person looking very comfortable to take that P5. Carson will come out as the driver who top split B, taking over from Dan Evans. Asano, meanwhile, absolutely chasing Kaminari Reba, who's currently about to be set to bring home another good result. AP2 will essentially secure him a spot in the World Studio as well. Evelyn Kuromi from the bottom of the standings is looking to force herself into the CEO from where she is right now. Enzo Ferrari 4th might also do the same as well. Zacharias in P6, Aquazuri in P7 is going to be a pretty precarious affair. Rossi Croscio will most likely not make the CEO from where he is right now. Alex Grant as well. Shaki Freza does have a cushion to fall back on. Mikolev in P11 may not be as fortunate. We got Goodman P12, Osner was at P13. And of course, Ryota Asano might come out of this as a winner. And as it stands right now, Aqua Zuri is out of the CEO. She needs to make a pass on to Mattia Zacharias. And if she does that, that will send that will send Jake Goodwin out of the studio. So right now, all eyes are also on Aquazuri, as she is currently the first driver outside the cut line to see if she's gonna get the thing done. And right now, points-wise, Aquazuri as it stands will be at 181, and Jake Goodwin at 185 points. An overtake against Zacharias will send both of them into the CEO. So I'm not sure, but Zacharias wants his position as much as Azuri does. The gap between Riba and Asano have closed down to 1.3 seconds. Oh, and it's Aquazuri with the lockup there at turn 10. That's gonna absolutely cost her a spot in the World CEO as it stands. It doesn't look like she is gonna gain more time against Zacharias anytime soon. As you can see here, Azuri is struggling big time with the control of the car. Unless another driver crashes out, which I don't think it will happen. It might happen. But the question is, who will be the one who will be crashing out? Right now, Asano now closes in onto Riba. The gap's now at 1.6 seconds. Meanwhile, everyone inside the top 5 are only separated by about 5 seconds. Right now, Zuri's gonna have to have the best 6 laps of her life to try to get her to force her way into the CEO series, at least in HoloProto world. seconds now. And gap between Azuri and Zacharias, 3.4 seconds. That lockup absolutely not doing herself any favors. Azuri might just need to hope for a miracle at this point. With Riva now coming into the start-finish line. Asano now only 4/10 of a second behind. This is going to be a fight for the lead. And Caraccio has just been overtaken by Alex Grant. Alex Grant is now up into P8. Change the situation much as both Caraccio and Grant are outside of the CEO spots right now. Meanwhile, Azuri has slightly closed the gap to Zacharias, but only slightly. And right now, Zacharias is also looks to be somewhat struggling as well. The gap's closed down to 2.9 seconds. Meanwhile, Kuromi and Ferrari are about to go side by side. This is 4P3. And what a contest this is for the top spot, with drivers as far as Dak Patterson in P5 also joining in on the fight. And here comes Evelyn Kuromi there against Ryuta Asano, coming into turn 16. This is going to be a reversal of fortunes, and it's going to be a double overtake from Kuromi, and it's going to be Kuromi about to take the race lead here at Mandalika. And Ryuta Asano, oh, a big tank stopper from Asano to try to get himself into P2. The lead changes from the lead changes hands. Asano drops 2 positions in a whim, and now it's Evelyn Kuromi leading the Epilogue Grand Prix at Mandalika Split B. Asano continues to lose out. He now drops down to P4. Kuromi has the lead. Riva in second. Enzo Ferrari is now in P3. Ryuta Asano is in P4. And that will only change the complexion here, as this will mean that Evelyn Kuromi will now send Azuri further down the order, and this means that and this means Azuri now needs to overtake both Zacharias and Patterson to make the seal, and now Mikolev has not made the pass on to Goodwin. Mikolev in P11, Goodwin in P12. Patterson has now moved up into P4. The cutoff line changes hands once again. Azuri may have caught up to Zacharias, but I don't think it will be enough. As it stands right now, Kuromi will take the checkered flag and will probably send both Goodwin and Azuri out into the Zaku. If the mistake comes from somewhere, then you know what's going to happen. Another competitive fight at the front, about to come to a close here in Mandalika. Coming to the final 2 laps of this race. Kuromi now leads the field. Riva in second. Ferrari third. Patterson fourth. Asano fifth. Okay, never mind. I stand corrected. Azuri may still pass Zacharias and take this one, but she has made yet another mistake. That's why the gaps have now opened up. Yeah, it's at the cost of Azuri not making the seal. But right now, change yet. Because Riba, right now Enzo Ferrari and Romy are the big upsetters. If they somehow end up in a collision or accident, then Azuri might just have a chance to make the CEO. As basically both of them were outside the cut line before. And they're absolutely delivering when it mattered most. Off the lap, and it's still Ferrari. P3 against Riba. Romy, Riba, Ferrari, Patterson, and Sano in the top 5. Zakarias, Azuri, Grant, Horacio, Chacabreza in the top 10. Mikolev, Goodwin, Wizard, Fumi, and Corey Rico Mendez rounding out your 15-car field for Split B. The Suratomo are watching in almost helpless, in a near helpless state, seeing their entry this time get knocked out of CEO contention on merits, as the final lap just started for Split B. Evelyn Kuromi currently leads the field of cars. It will be a major huzzah moment for the Rosarian camp. And right now ERB absolutely putting oh, that's a mistake there for Kamina Riba. A mistake for Kamina Riba that will send mistake from Kamina Riba that will send Enzo Ferrari now into P2. And right now the situation will not change at the cutoff line. And Dan Patterson is about to go down the inside onto Riba. And coming into the final set of corners, and it will be Evelyn Kuromi who will take the checkered flag as it stands. Who have already won 2 races in Formula Hall Life for ERB. It will be a huzzah moment for the Rosarians. This time it's in HoloProto. Evelyn Kuromi take the checkered flag here in the Epilogue 600 at Mandalika Split B race. Enzo Ferrari third, Riba third. Patterson could not make the podium, but it was a great run for him in P4. P5 goes to Asano. Zakarias finishing P6. Means Azuri is out of the CEO. Grant in P8, Horacio 9, Shakib Reza rounding out the top 10. Mikolev, Goodwin, and Wizard will be the last drivers to cross the line. Wow. What a race that was for both of them. For both Split A and Split B field. They both delivered when it mattered the most. As Kuromi, as the Ferrari, and Kamina Riba make up your top 3 with an Indonesian base 1-2, and with Italians making 2 and 3. So Kuromi takes a checkered flag over Enzo Ferrari and Kamina Riba. Dak Patterson gets a good finish for the Irony 15 camp, which actually would secure the Yuffie team the top spot in Split B and almost guarantee qualification to the CEO. Hyuta Sano in P5, that's where he will also end up in the championship as it stands. Sorry, maybe not. Zakarias P6, Aqua Azuri P7, Grant 8th, Horacio 9th, and Shakib Reza rounding out the top 10. Isaka J. Mikolev for Zakaramiko in 11th, Jake Goodwin for Kamimino in 12th, and also Wizard last of the finishers ends up 13th for Korone. Fumi and Corey Mendes had engine failures, which sent them to 14th and 15th respectively. Yeah, I can't believe it either. But right now we are checking the standings here, and it is unfortunately going to be true. There have been pretty much heartbreaks all around. Jake Goodwin is actually the first driver outside of the cut line. by 9 points. As I'm just gonna have to take the picture. All right, so let's take a look into the standings charts as to basically confirm to you all the championship situation here. With the result here in Mandalika, Dak Patterson for Irony of 15, on which Dan Evans raced in 2 of the 3 races, ends up being the driver that takes the top spot, ends up being the team that takes the top spot in the split B, with Shakir Reza with a sizable gap behind with 123 points. Hutazano at least secures third in the split B standings, and also securing his spot in the World CEO. Same goes for Kaminari Reba, Enzio Ferrari, and Evelyn Kuromi, and especially for Ferrari and Kuromi, who were outside the CEO coming to this weekend. They came in clutch. With Matthias Zacharias and Isekai J. Mikolev being the last drivers in the CEO series from Split V. Ferrari and Kuromi's good results will come at a cost of Jake Goodwin and Aqua Azuri especially, who previously only needed to overtake Zacharias. Well, she obviously needed to overtake Zacharias anyway, but a series of mistakes have costed Azuri a spot in the CEO. So there will be a huge inquest coming into the off-season before we resume the Suyo-Zako campaigns. Also, Wizard, Alex Grant, Hofumi, Crushio, and Corey Mendes also do not make it into the World CEO. Well, that's that, unfortunately, for Azuri. It's just one of those moments where you have to ponder and think about... you have to think about what could have been. But at this point, you just gotta have to get yourself back up and get into... just continue on into competing for the Zako. With that out of the way, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to today's stream. It's been interesting stream today, honestly, with tons of racing action that obviously left a lot of us at the edge of our seats, especially what happened in Split A with Takeda Adachi's sudden last lap pass. Now, out of the way, we're just gonna conclude the stream with a bit. Thank you to all that would take their time to attend today's stream. We hope to see you again tomorrow for Split C and D, and we hope to have entertaining races as much as we had today. Anyways, take care, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.